Hey guys, Dustin Wynn.
Hey, this is Scott Snyder.
This is Paul Dini.
And you're listening to Bat Force Radio.
And you're listening to Bat Force Radio.
You're listening to Bat Force Radio.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, and you're listening to Bat Force Radio, so stay tuned.
Man, it's been a while. Welcome to episode 20 of the Everything Batman podcast. I am your host, Dunk. Today we got Sammy Warm Hands as my co-host today. How's it going, brother?
Good. I hope you don't mind. I brought my friend Michael. I wasn't sure if there was room, but
there's always room for MK.
Okay.
Today's a different episode, different take. Obviously, we've had Sammy on the show a couple of times.
Yeah, take that, Liz Wonder. I'm coming for your record. I'm gonna try to top you.
Yo, she might come back at you, bro. You never know.
I love it.
So we've been chatting, a couple of us, and it's been quite the year that cons are pretty much back and back full force in the sense of like there's like multiple cons per weekend. And we had a bright idea of like, hey, let's discuss like what does it take for a preparation for a Comic-Con. Whether it's local, you're traveling, it tends to be like different tiers depending on what you're looking for. You have people who are collectors that look for certain items, are hunting for certain things. You have people who chase signatures. You have people who want graded slabs. You have people who go for cosplays and photography, or looking at photo ops, or trying to find, when it comes to Comic-Cons nowadays, it's about the culture. There's so many aspects and so many different factors to why people go to Comic-Cons. But I think it's safe to say that Sammy and I, we kind of stick to the comics.
Yeah. I'm coming from the artist alley perspective for sure.
Yeah, and I kind of live in artist alley, and unless there's a reason to get out of there, but Let's say, for example, you just went to a con this weekend.
Yeah.
This past weekend, and God knows how many I've been at. And I'm currently prepping for New York Comic Con.
Mm-hmm.
First thing we do, me personally, I go, all right, cool. Who's going to be there, right?
Yeah.
And I think for me in particular, that distinguishes whether I'm going to go to the con or not.
Yeah, I've got a notes list on my phone, or a notes app list, where I basically have all the ones that I'm interested in, right? Doesn't mean I can necessarily afford to go to them, but just like, so I have it all laid out of like, okay, New York looks like this, Seattle looks like this, San Francisco doing their first fan expo, I might want to do that, and so I've got like dates, locations, who's there, and on which days do they appear. So that's kind of my like initial preliminary, like, all right, this is what exists. And then you kind of got to like stay on it if you're planning on going, because what I've found is those guest lists change constantly. Yeah. They're dropping the people you wanted to see. They're adding people you didn't know were going to be there. Like they're constantly fucking with it. So I kind of check that every few days if I'm really thinking about going, or if I got my tickets especially.
Yeah, I tend to do the same thing. For me, like cons this year in particular, I was like, all right, I haven't been to a certain con in a certain location, and I explored a lot of different cons this year just because I want to see what every con in certain areas brings, right? Like apparently West Coast is a whole different feel than the East Coast. Texas is different as well. But I look at the list, and there's always that initial list, and it's always very small. And then you sign up to the newsletter, if you're a couple of months away, and there's like, oh, new announcement, The Hobbit, or like the whole Hobbit cast is gonna go, and it's like, all right, cool.
Well, for me, that drives me crazy because I'm always like, God damn it, it's a month away. Like, tell me who's gonna fucking be there. It's like, it's like, do I book my hotel? Do I book all this stuff? Like, if it's just like the one person I've already seen before or something, I'm like, don't be like sandbagging your guests and drop all the cool ones last minute, because then I'll miss out. So
Yeah.
I wish they rolled out some of those a little more expediently, I'll say.
That would be ideal. The other thing that happens with the guest list, and we spoke about this before the show, most of the cons they have their guest list on their site. The other thing you should do is look at the vendors that are going to be there, and for the most part, the comic vendors, a lot of them have other artists that are not listed on the initial comic books on the Comic Con site. For example, Scott Collectibles, great group of guys out there. Then they've had Tinian for most of the cons they've gone to a Fan Expo. Then you have like is it 616 or Unknown? One of those two had David Nakayama at C2E2, but he wasn't on the list. And that's another aspect of things where these vendors, they have their own guests that initially, for whatever reason, they're not on the main site, and they're exclusive to that vendor. So you want to look at the vendors that are going to be there. If you see a 616 Comics, Unknown Comics, Scott Collectibles, the Comic Mint, there's a lot to follow, but these guys tend to get some artists on there that you're not going to find on a list, and that could persuade you. So that's another thing to look into when it comes to guest lists.
Well, not just that, but if you follow an artist, notice who, like, they'll repost in the stories if like their art reps, their dealers are posting about some event they're having or whatever. Like, notice those posts and follow those pages too, because I think Essential Sequential is a great example of a dealer who will always be on the show floor. They'll have half a dozen artists there. Yeah. And like, if you go to their website and you go to the news tab, there's just a constant list of like upcoming conventions and which artists are appearing. Like, oh, sweet. Like you said, this isn't on the master list at the con or whatever, but sure enough, it's there. And a lot of times they'll even give you whether or not they're taking commissions or what their prices are for certain, like head sketch versus a bust versus a full figure, or like, I don't know. I found it really helpful just to follow those other pages and kind of know, because a big part of this shit is finding your budget for the show and going, okay, I want to see these people, but I don't know how much it's going to cost to see each of these people, right? Yeah. And so you set your budget, you set your priorities or whatever for it, and sometimes that is tough to find. There's also a Facebook group that I just joined that I forget the exact name, but it's all like, you are not allowed to post your sketches on there without naming the price. And so it's all to
the commissions of sketch group.
Yeah, it's to inform people like us. So it's like, hey, I just got this Ryan Otley Invincible sketch. It was $300 or whatever at Fan Expo. It's like, okay, cool. So now next time you see Ryan Otley on the bill, you're going, all right, I know about this much for him. About David Finch is about this much. Okay, cool. And I think that's really awesome. Just like we're doing here, to like, let's help each other out.
Yeah, that's groups are huge. And also, if any artist you're looking in particular, you follow their social media, follow their Twitter, their Instagram.
Get on the mailing lists.
Yeah, get on the mailing list, get on newsletters, and just follow up. It seems like a lot of work, but it just makes the con experience that much easier when you know what's going to happen or who's going to be there. And sometimes shit happens. Like, at C2E2, what's his face? Gleason showed up last minute, just surprise show up at the CGC booth, just decided to show up at C2E2.
Nice.
And I was like, really? It was. I had a great conversation with him, and I got a sketch for a friend of mine.
You're like, I didn't bring anything.
Exactly. I'm like, I bought nothing for you. What the? You going to New York? He's like, I don't know. It's a long drive. And I was like, all right, I got to bring some things with me just in case he decides to make that drive.
Yeah.
But sometimes things happen, and you run over to vendors and try to find the books that you want to get signed by that person. But I think that pretty much covers like trying to figure out who's going to be at a con, whether you want to go to the con or not.
Well, you mentioned something there at the end though that's kind of fun. In that is, a lot of times it's like, all right, so and so is coming. cool, I've wanted to meet them. I have these books. I would love to get them signed, right? But then you start thinking about it and you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to my local shops. I'm gonna dig through the bins and see what other like cool covers I might find from this artist that like, maybe I already got my favorites or I got the collected, and I just see what else I can find. And so like that's super fun. Also going to like the comic vendors on site, like when I got to meet Snyder and Capullo this summer. It was at Washington Summer Con, and they weren't appearing till the second day. So first day, I'm digging through the crates, right? And I found super cool covers that I could bring to the signing the next day that I didn't even have with me. So like,
Nice.
even though I had shit to bring, it was like, yeah, but it gives you something to hunt for, I like that part of, or cruising eBay trying to find that 125 variant of that, whatever.
I'm currently looking for a Batgirl blank.
Yeah, just that extra special one, man. Dude, yeah, I saw a Batgirl blank. I bought one at Emerald City. It was those are like fucking $25 a piece.
Yeah,
and I just
yeah, but it's rare. So yeah, that's the other part. Once you figured out, all right, I really want to go to this con. There's various artists I want to see. All right, cool. Let's go through my collection and see what I want to get signed, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I bin dive my collection first. I got 7 short box. I got 7 store folios ready for New York Comic Con. That's going to be fun. But then then you follow up with, all right, what else can I find that I don't have in my collection? You go to your local comic shop, and of course, as you mentioned, at the con itself, we got some downtime. Midday when everyone's at lunch getting stuff signed, hit up a couple of vendors and just bin dive and see what else you find to add.
Yeah, man. Look for those fucking half off bins and just go deep. Like I found so much cool shit doing that. There's this one shop called I Like Comics that does all the Northwest cons up here. I've seen them at like 3 different shows, and they'll have these 70% off bins, just a whole fucking wall of them.
And stuff.
Yeah, dude. And every time I find gems in there, it's like, oh, fucking original Long Halloween shit, or original year 1 stuff. I mean, Death in the Family. Like I picked up so many cool old titles in there, man. For nothing.
That's the best, man. I found the guy. I went to WickedCon. It was one of the first cons I went to this year in March. And this guy, the bins were just not organized. And they just said, hey, no, we just bought this collection and we just got a table and put everything down. And I was like, word. I found some gems, some Batman Who Laughs for like $1.
Yeah.
Issues that are going for like $20-$30. And I told him, you sure this is $1, man? He's like, yeah, whatever. And I was like, sweet. I need to find more of these guys. So always bin dive and support the vendors. They're there for themselves and for you, and you find things so much cheaper sometimes at a con than you do somewhere else.
Another thing, man, and just I want to be a little careful saying this, but in my younger days, I worked in sales, right? And so, it's a different mentality, right, than just picking up a stack of books at the show. But if you're looking at higher ticket items, hot toys, or other collectibles, or even higher dollar books, that if you're on the last day of con and that thing you wanted is still there, just ask, because they don't want to take it home. They don't want to take any of the shit home with them, right? And you don't want to leave it there on the rack. And so I've come up on some great deals, whether like a lot of people who follow me saw that Joker jacket from Batman 89. Like I got that for fucking half off on the last day. I got a Hot Toys Affleck from BVS for mad cheap, like basically original sticker price. Just because that shit's still there on the last day. It's like, yo, I got this much left. Are you interested? It doesn't hurt to ask, is all I'm saying. If you go on day 1 and you start pulling that shit, they're not gonna do it.
Yeah,
but
they'd be like, no. Come
But
back on Sunday.
yeah, I mean, then it's mutually beneficial, I think, to
Yeah.
try to negotiate something sometimes for
Yeah,
those bigger items.
yeah, if you definitely end up staying till the last day and negotiate the last day, it's just less product for them to move. They're there to sell.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they hit their profit margins for the most part the first 2 day or 3 days, whatever.
And worst case scenario, they just say, "No, I can't do it," and that's
Yeah.
fine.
And you move on.
And you take it or leave it. You know.
Yeah. After you bin dive and do all those things, of course, depending on the con, if it's local, maybe you have a friend that you could go with and drive or whatever. But of course, a lot of the cons that we all want to go to seem to be, a train ride, a 5-hour drive,
Yeah.
or a flight away. For those on my side, I highly recommend to book a lot of things in advance. The longer you wait towards a con, coming, a month in, a month and a half in, price start to skyrocket. I personally, I went to Terrificon, and this happened to me last year, where I saw the price for a room was like $250. I'm like, oh, sweet.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. And then I waited last minute, and the room ended up being $550.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like that's the major thing. And there's always a hotel next to the con, and that's the hotel that everyone wants to go to.
And
Some
I would
smaller-
never, because that's where you're paying out the ass for.
Yeah,
Like
and
I'm always
most
Airbnb, man. That's what I'm.
most of
looking
them are
for.
connected to the con. It's like very, very convenient. Well, that's how they get you. But like a lot of the smaller cons have hotels like right next to them. But the smaller cons will have like a block saved at some hotels, and you can save some money that way.
Yeah.
The bigger cons, not so much, unless you're a vendor or something, because like a secret code they give you. But sometimes you do get blocks on some of the hotels at the bigger cons. But book months in advance. You'll save hundreds of dollars. I don't care which con it is. You're saving hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. I
And
don't want to like say exactly how much, but I paid a very reasonable rate last time I went to Emerald City Comic Con in December.
yeah,
And found an Airbnb. It was like a mile away or something.
nice.
It's just a short morning walk over there. It was perfect. And I waited too long this time. And I like all the hotels were 500 and up by then. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Right. All of them. And so I started
Sucks.
checking Airbnb again. And, even those are like 300 a night or something for a room, like a studio apartment or something. I'm like, God damn. And then one popped up the next day that was literally on the back side of the convention center building. Like you could not physically get closer. It was right across the street. And I jumped on it. It was the cheapest one around, but I paid probably 4 or 5 times as much this August as I paid for the same neighborhood in December
Oh wow.
of last year. That's fucked up. And that was
Yeah.
just because I waited. And so that's why I'm so strapped today, is that like I kept saying, oh yeah, I spent too much at Emerald City. I spent too much at Emerald City. But like really, it was the travel expenses.
Yeah, and that hurts. It's nice, like you find like a group of people to like spit with. And in my ass, I don't give a shit. I'll sleep on the floor. I'll butt to butt with someone. Like I don't care, as long as like at the end of the day at the con, you're not hanging out at the hotel. You just need a
Yeah.
bed and a place to put your stuff where it's safe. People go all out and like get suites and all this stuff. I'm like, you're not even hanging out. You're not hanging out in your hotel room.
Yeah.
Period. Unless it's like one of those cons where people do that. But if you're just, hitting the ground running, getting stuff signed, going to panels, doing all that stuff, you're not going to be in your hotel. You're going to drop stuff off, go back out, or come back, shower, go out and hang out, or whatever.
I wonder about that too. Like you'll see conventions that are wildly different on social media than like some of the other ones you've been to,
Yeah.
where like people just posting about Dragon Con. I know it's a huge thing for cosplayers, right? But it just looks like a giant fucking
Hotel party.
rave. Yeah, it's just like a big frat party in costume. Like, what is this?
I'm going next year.
I saw one person post about some sketches they got there. I'm like, oh, they have artists. I didn't know that. I literally didn't know that because everyone always posts the fucking dance party shit. And I was like, wow, that's okay. I guess they just have like a big event attached to it for cosplay or something. Like, I don't even know because I never seen anything like that at the shows I've been to.
I had no idea about it, but everyone was like, "Oh, you going? Are you going? Are you going?" I'm like, "No," and I was like, "Let me look it up." They had quite the list of guests, and I was
Nice.
like, "Are you fucking kidding me? I could have went to this." So like, I messaged one of the guys from Capture Collectibles. I'm like, "Yo, you guys going to Dragon Con?" Like, "Oh, we just landed," and I go, "What? I want to go." Damn it. So now I'm like, all right, I'm going next year. I don't care. They had quite the guest, and because of someone going over there, Frank Cho's going to be over at
Oh, cool.
Cosplay World in Richmond, Virginia, which is the week before New York Comic Con, which I'm also going to.
Yeah.
And that's cool because the cosplay event, but then they're getting artists there, and I'm like, all right, this is dope. This is so sick. So, yeah, I just plugged them in Cosplay World, October 1st and 2nd, Richmond, Virginia. Check it out. First year, it's going to be so dope.
See, I like that. I like having all of it. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to shit on cosplay because I love cosplay. I find it very interesting. But I just
A little
thought
bit of
that it was
everything.
like I thought it was one thing when I looked at that one. But
Yeah, that's what I thought too, and I was wrong. And that's that's just us by we follow certain people,
yeah,
and the
totally.
majority of them they go there for that. But then I'm sure if we followed a different group of people, it's like, oh, Dragon Con, all this. But when I saw the list, I was like, damn, I could have got mad books signed. But yeah, that's why you guys you have to go on the site, look at the guest list. You never know if it's something you want to check out. But again, don't spend so much money on the hotel room unless
Yeah.
it's Dragon Con, I guess, right?
Yeah, I guess, man. Like I'm just so used to going to all these things alone. Like I'll run into somebody there, but like
Yeah.
I always just go on these little solo trips with my bag full of shit. Like I don't know. But I'm
That's
the
what it
antisocial
works.
punk rocker guy, so I guess it works out.
That works. I was going to a lot of cons alone too, and I was just like, oh, this is awesome. I got my bed to myself. Everyone leave me the hell alone.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna order some DoorDash or some Uber Eats or Grubhub, sit my ass here, watch some TV, rest these feet. And
Yeah.
awesome. But now it's like not splitting it. I'm like, great, I got a couple of $100s to spend now, a couple
That's
of
a good
extra
point.
100.
Yeah,
So
that's smart.
there's to each their own, depending on what you could afford. And if you have a team of people that you could split things with, it's just more spending money at the con.
Shit, if I could afford it, man, I'd try to split with you for New York, man. I want to meet Ice-T.
Try to sell some drugs, man.
I'm straight edge. That's not my shit.
But so cool. Like, make sure you book beforehand, trips, hotels. When it comes to flights, be very careful flying the same day of the con. It's a huge no.
Yeah, you got to leave that buffer for cancellations, man.
Yeah, for MegaCon, I was in Orlando 2 days before, but that's gonna take the week off, and I had a wedding before that. For Dallas, I landed the morning of. I got really lucky, no delays. And then C2E2. So I was flying out the night before, but when I was sitting down on my couch and I saw like the weather patterns, and I was like, oh shit, there's a thunderstorm coming in tonight. I'm like, yo, all these flights are about to get delayed. So I switched my flight for free for a flight that was going to take off 2 hours the moment I switched it. And I was like, all right, cool, I'm out. I showered, packed my bag, ran out, I made it. But everyone from like 4 o'clock forward, flights got delayed and they didn't show up to C2E2. Anyone from like the New York area, New York, New Jersey, they didn't show up to C2E2 till like Friday afternoon. They missed the first day.
Man.
And if you could patent it a little bit to be safe, definitely go that route. Also, when you patent it, you could play around and get better pricing and fly different times. I was offered,
and like I am in Eugene, which is not a huge town. It's like 150, 200,000 people here, right? And so our airport costs more to go,
Same here.
pretty much anywhere, right? And so I know that if I check the prices from Eugene, and then I also check the prices for Seattle, which is a 2-hour drive, that I can ditch my van at a buddy's house up there or something, Uber to the airport, and save myself a couple $100
Yeah.
for just a couple hours of driving. And so sometimes it makes a lot more sense to do that.
Yeah, I always gear that because I live in Albany,
Yeah.
and it's a 2.5 hour drive to New York area. So JFK, LaGuardia, or Newark. I'd rather do Newark because don't fly to New York. It's a piece of shit. And so is Newark, but still a better piece of shit. But it's like it's a difference of a couple. It's like flying to Virginia. It's like $150 difference. But then I'm like, all right, I'm like driving to Jersey the day before, and Uber's going to cost me this. So, weigh it out, find out what's best, but be very careful with trying to fly at the same day of a con.
Yeah.
That's
I
it.
actually, as a performer, because if anybody listens to my podcast, Bat Fanatic podcast, if you ever listen to that, I introduce the show. I say, I'm Sammy Warm Hands, the Dark Knight of Rap, right? And that's because I'm an MC. And one year I was scheduled for my record label's annual South by Southwest showcase. And if you know anything about me, I have a lot of anxiety about flying. And I got to the airport, it was ready to go, and the flight got canceled, right? And I was like, yes, because I wanted to play the show. It's a huge show, and I get to see all the people on my label, and it's exciting. But like at the same time, it's just like I fucking hate doing it. And so, it got canceled, and then it was like, all right, well, we'll get it rescheduled, right? So the next available flight would have had me land an hour after my set time at the show. And I was like, well, guess I can't do it, right? I'm all broken up about it. And so I had a friend of mine, one of my old tour mates, fill in for me. But the reason I bring it up now is because, again, it was booked, like the label booked it so close that even the next possible flight had me there too late.
Yeah.
And so you got to give yourself that buffer, unless like me, you're just trying to get out of it. But yeah. And we were talking about Ubers and hotels and stuff. Another thing I'll mention is walking distance, man, because if you can pay like a little bit more, like if you're driving, everything in the Northwest, I'm driving, right?
Yeah.
The only thing I got to make sure, does the place I'm staying have parking, right? Because I don't want to spend $40 a day on parking, and then that fucks up the whole thing. You might as well have just gone further away, got that Uber. But if you can get something with like parking and everything that you need and be walking distance, oh man, it's so much better. You're not fucking with the traffic. You're not waiting around on rides. If you can just cruise over there with your bag and get in that early line, man, it's just a lifesaver. Like I got to go midday and take a nap the third day of Emerald City because I've been just grinding it out every day.
I think I texted you and you were like, I'm gonna go take a nap right now. And I'm like, yo, he's taking a nap?
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. I was literally like on the same block. It was a 2-minute walk right over there up to my room, crash out for a half hour, come back, pick up my sketches. Like it was nice. It was great. So I can't recommend that enough. Like if you can find that place with walking distance that's in your budget, man, like please do it. Do yourself the favor.
It's worth it. I think the furthest I parked was at MegaCon, and it was about like 3/4 of a mile, and I walked it. Like whatever. Definitely look into like the how far you are, and if you're with a group of people and you want to get cheaper, you stay further, and Uberings will be a lot cheaper if you split it with 4 or 3 people or whatever. But walking distance is sick. It's get a little stretch before you start standing in lines and doing things for like 9 hours.
Yeah.
The next thing, of course, you get everything booked, right? Now you're getting, let's say you're a week and a half away from the Comic-Con, and you're a collector. You're going to see a lot of announcements from vendors or yeah, for mostly vendors, exclusive comic books are going to get released, exclusive figs. They're going to announce a lot of panels. You're going to see those times and stuff come out. You're going to see the times and booth numbers of the artists. You're going to find signature rates, commission rates, a lot of things, a lot of information is going to come at you. And, you're going to have to map this out or like prioritize what you're really looking for.
And dude, let
And
me just throw this in
yeah,
there.
yeah,
At that last stage, right, when you're really close to it and you prioritize the people you really want to see, right? Turn on your post notifications on Instagram, because
yeah,
some people will open up that commission list, the pre-list, and it will close in 5 minutes. So like
yes.
you really got to watch for those.
Yeah. If you have anyone who has open commissions and you want to get a commission, yeah, have the notifications up, email their handlers if you can beforehand. Um, you know, d- Try your best to like get things before the con. Because at the con, if they do have a commission list is still open, and it's a big artist that you're looking for, the lines are going to get crazy. And
Yeah.
some of the artists the day of, they're just like, "Nah, we're closed. Like I have enough." And then some artists are going to be like, "Yeah, I'll take it," and they won't finish that weekend. And then you have to worry about your stuff getting mailed to you, and that could be very lucrative. That something you don't want to deal with.
Man, I was
Um,
third in line for Joelle Jones last month. And that was only because show floor opens at 10. She had announced the previous night, I'm not going to be there till 10:30. I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to just peep a couple of booths on my way over to that one, right? I get there 10 minutes later, and there were two people ahead of me in line. They bought commissions from the handler before she was even there. By the time I walk up, list closed. They put up the sign. I'm like, fucking A.
Jesus,
Like, she's not even here for 20 minutes. So, like, yeah, you
yeah,
really got to stay on those, even the ones that, like, you think you think you got everything. Be there early, early, early.
yeah. That's why, like, create your list of who you want to prioritize, and whoever you think is going to be like the hardest, yeah, that's who you focus on immediately.
Yeah.
Um, that's numero uno. I still on some lists to get things done. It's funny because as much as like Sean Murphy does like signings, I'm always like one of the first ones on like day one, first signing on his line, and it's like, dude, you're gonna see me like 15 times today. I'm like, I know. You're the guy I need first. Everyone else can wait,
Yeah.
and prioritize that way. Um, Also, if you're looking at exclusives, like look at what time the booths open up. If you could jump in the line real quick and then run over to an artist, great. Because some exclusive lines. This happened like the Comic Mint last year when I was in C2E2. They released all these great exclusive C2E2 books that are coming out, and there's people who get VIP passes. Again, look into that.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a VIP pass, you might get 1 to 2 hours in early. Some places are 30 minutes. Some cons are an hour. Some cons are 2 hours.
Some
So
are
getting
none, by the way.
Yeah,
Some
some have
some
no
are they
VIP
just
passes.
open the doors and you guys go first.
Yeah, and that's
Like,
it.
I saw that too. Yeah.
That's crazy. But look into that, because then some of them, depending on which con it is, it's like, oh, a pass that costs $50, but you're paying $120 for a VIP pass for the day, and they're giving you a lanyard, a T-shirt, and all this stuff that really doesn't matter. But you're first for everything going on at the con, and most of the vendors are going to be there during that time period because, hey, they're there to make some money, man.
Those are
And
people with money. Yeah.
yeah, if you're a VIP, you're spending money. They're ready for you. So
Yeah.
look into that too when it comes to these cons. Um, then the lines, when it comes to these lines, again, prioritize. If you're there multiple days, great. Definitely map out what you can. Me personally, I knock out the things that I want to get signed for the most prioritized first, and then the end of the day, the first day of a con, like that last like hour and a half, 2 hour mark. So many artists are just sitting there. It's day one. A lot of
Yep.
people leave early because they're tired, rookies. It's been like 4 or 5 hours and their feet hurt, and that's it. They're done. Man, that's when I just power walk. I'm like, oh crap. All right. I normally, and again, we'll discuss this later. I walk around. Well, I normally have like my store folio and like a list of like who's where in here. And I'm like, oh crap, I need this. Great. Let me go get it signed. And I can knock out about 80 to like 85% of my signatures day one. And 50% of that is those last 2 hours. Because some artists are just hanging out. There's like 2 or 3 people there. And for me, that's key. That's like the key moment to start knocking things out. But again, it's a whole day event, and only the strong survive. So if you're
Well, and the other thing too is like I'm good at planning shit. Okay, I have fairly severe OCD, which can be an asset in certain scenarios, and this is one of them, right? So like I can map everything out exactly, the times, the locations, everything, right? And on the day, there will be variables. Things will always change. So and so didn't show up yet. Oh shit, but they're the next on my list. Well, do I stand here for an hour, or do I cut across and get these things signed while it's slow? Because I can see over there,
yeah,
there's no, and so like sometimes you just gotta call an audible and get those, not like they're low priority, but not like your number ones, right? Get those
yeah,
other books signed, because
yeah. Why wait?
you never know. And for me, a lot of the times the priority is also based on budget. So
Yeah,
if you really want commission from this person, or if you really want whatever it is that's a good chunk of your budget, you want to see them first, so you don't spend
yeah,
too much walking around, right? But it doesn't always work out. I mean, at this time at Emerald City, some of the people I most wanted commissions from, they had said sort of non-committal online, like, yeah, I don't know, day of the show, we'll see.
yeah,
And you get there, sorry, not doing it.
yeah.
Oh, fuck, all right.
Okay, tried.
Well, that changes everything, you
Yeah,
know. And so then you got to readjust your day. You look at those other priority, lower priority items, and you kind of rebuild your roster for the day.
yeah,
But for me, like going into it, so we talked about the initial list of like, okay, all these artists and on which days they appear, right? So a couple days beforehand, I'll break down, all right, so which artists are there on the first day? Because if you go on the weekday and the bigger names are there, that's the easiest time to get in, right? Okay, this person's going to be there all days, and I know this person's going to have a major line, so let's get there first thing on the
yeah,
first day, which is the weekday where everybody else is at work, right?
yep,
So I prioritize those things. The other thing you do is if they offer an app, you're like, I don't need your fucking app, I don't need one more app. Get the app, because it's really easy to pull up their map on there or their Artist Alley
yeah,
tab and get everybody's table locations.
yep,
So then when you're building your list for the day of like, okay, I know these people are all going to be there on day one. These people aren't going to be there till day two, and so on. And you kind of start with that as your list. But then you prioritize by like, all right, how much demand is there for this person, or what percentage of my budget? And then also geographically, I know that, oh shit, all these people are comic sketch art. And
yeah.
so I can hit all them in one circle
Boom,
at
boom,
one
boom.
time, right? And so you're just trying to be efficient, because you're going to be walking and standing all fucking day, all
Yeah.
weekend, really. So I always break it down from, the day to the time to the priority to the location,
Yeah.
just as thorough as you can get. So when you're there, you're not going, okay, no, where is so-and-so? And,
Yeah.
looking for a map. Like, you don't want to be fighting that and then get there and then put that commission closed list right in your face when you
Yeah.
get there,
You don't want that.
So yeah, I mean, I like I said, I check that fucking list every night the week of the con. I'm like, anybody canceled? Anybody get added? And my list will constantly change. But yeah, I go in with that kind of.
You'd be surprised the amount of people that realize that someone canceled. I think, and I just had to mention him at Boston and at was it Boston and at C2E2. People were looking for Clinton Crane, and I was like, nah, he canceled. Oh man, and I'm like, I thought it was a big announcement. Like everyone saw his tweet, right? And I'm like, oh no,
No,
I'm just, preparing all the damn time.
the
So
artists will do it, but the con itself will generally not, unless it's a celebrity that
yeah,
pre-sells photo ops because
yeah,
you already spent the money. Then they'll tell you. But if it's
yeah,
just somebody in Artist Alley or whatever, you'll just see their name pop off the list, and now it's at the bottom, and they're grayed
yeah.
out or something.
Sometimes,
Yeah, maybe
sometimes.
if you're lucky. And so, yeah, like dude, fucking Klaus Janson was supposed to be at Emerald this year, and one day his name just wasn't there. He wasn't in the canceled section. I emailed him like, "Hey, is this like? I have a screenshot. I know it was there.
Yeah.
Like it's on my list, and never heard shit. So
No.
it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
So
but
constantly look
watch
at
them.
the updates. You got to
Watch them.
watch it. It happens. So now we're going to get into, that's part of like just doing research for the con, but now like truly prepping for us comic guys, I guess. Me personally, when I approach an artist, I already had I set up window bags,
Mhm.
and what these window bags are is pretty much, and I'll show you a picture of two different variations. These are bags in which you'll put your comic books in, and it gives the artist a space where they could sign. This one in particular here is is normally used for graded comic books. If you ever want to get something graded by CBCS or CGC, they'll put your book in one of these, or you could buy these yourself. And the artist has the freedom of signing in that little open area there that you see. And these are pretty neat because once you get it signed, it has a little flap, you close it over and let your signature dry up. But these are actually a little bigger than for the store folio that I'll show you shortly. So what I tend to do is I make my own window bags. They kind of look like this here, where in which you'll get the bag and board. You'll use the painter's tape to use as an area that you want the signature in, and then you use an X-Acto knife to cut that window open. Not when the comic book's there. You normally want
Yeah,
to put a board, get
yeah.
the book out, and use
Put
the
an extra
board for
board in
that.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't cut your comic. Put a board in front of that. Use the X-Acto knife. Pull the window out. Take the board out. Put the comic book back in. Then you had the space for that. Also, when you're making these, the most important thing, don't do what someone did to Jim Lee.
The tiniest hole
Yeah,
ever.
the tiniest box ever. He was like, okay, like the smallest Jim Lee signature that ever occurred happened because someone did I don't know, it was like maybe a 2x2 open window.
Yeah.
You want to make sure they have enough space. And to be fair, like I tend to do the majority. I leave I leave the comic book pretty much strictly open. I do like a whole window. Because hey, if they feel like doing a remark,
Sure. Yeah.
let them at it. They're gonna ask me, hey, where do you want me to sign? Can you sign this over here? Great. And hey, you mind do a little Batman cowl there somewhere? And you never know, you could get away with that too. So I do this with all my books. Some not really. Well, sometimes I don't because when you realize how many books you have, like right now I have about 90 books for New York Comic Con.
Whew.
It's going to be a long 3 weeks making window bags.
It's gonna be a heavy backpack too.
Oh man. Well, I'm gonna segment it out and like
Yeah,
run back and forth from my hotel. I'm gonna get a lot of steps in, so I'm gonna lose some
Again,
weight.
walking distance, folks.
Yeah, because that backpack gets heavy. So I'm gonna make window bags for the majority of my books. I'm gonna submit some of them to CGC. They're gonna be in window bags already, which is great. It's like, here guys, haha, go give me 9.8 across the board. So signatures, right? There's a lot of different markers out there that people use. You have artists who have their own markers. A lot of them use like the Sharpies, right? You see them with different color Sharpies.
Which
Then there's
these are the devil. I fucking hate metallic Sharpies. They're like one use and dry. So
Yeah,
what
they
I will
dry up,
say,
man.
what I will say is prime and test your marker before the show and
Yes.
do it again the day of the show, because sometimes that one that was working great at home craps out on you. And I don't know about you, but I've had books that have shitty pen signatures that ruin the whole thing.
Yeah. That's definitely happened. But also, like, you have these metallic ones. They're like the Craft Smarts, where you have to shake them up.
Paint pens,
And,
yeah.
and the scary thing about these is, if you push down on them, you get a blotch, and then it's like, oh, what the fuck? And
Yeah,
you
and
got to
that's
test these as well.
because that's you're supposed to prime them like that and do
Yeah.
the push down and let it run. But yeah, like use it a bit after you do that, because you don't want it to just sop
you
into the paper all over.
push it down, and then, like, once they sign, you get a little signature, which works. So I was a big fan of these, but then I went over to Boston Fan Expo, and my buddy Monty, you shout out to Monty. Thank you very much for introducing me to these markers. And he bought these. And what got me with these, one, look at all the colors you got. The colors, Duke, the colors.
I think that's what Alex Sinclair might have used last time I saw him, actually. Those look familiar to me.
Yeah, I got really fine. Simply because here's like an example of a signature I got on Halloween.
Yeah,
Let's get the zoom in. Here's a
that's
Jeff
cool.
Loeb signature, like nice and sleek looking. I was like, oh wow, look at that. And then Nathan Zerdy had him himself, so he signed this marker over. He signed this one over here in yellow. It just looks like very sleek. I love it. I was like, all right, cool. So I need to buy these markers. So I bought them, and also I guess I had to share the story. I used a red one for my buddy's Harley Quinn, San Diego Harley Quinn foil by Sojo.
Yeah.
And I went over with a red marker, and she just looked at me. She's like, "This is my red marker now." I was like, "All right, I'll tell my buddy you got his marker," and no, left it at that. And then I realized all the artists on the comic mint table had those markers, and I was like, "Yo, all right, if they're good enough for artists, they're good enough
Yeah.
for people to sign my books." So I just ordered a pack, and it should be coming in this week, which is great. I still got 3 weeks to prep for New York Comic Con, but it's coming in this week. You see, prepare beforehand.
I had a similar encounter with Micah recently, where she just got there, right? Because it was one of those where, like, went to her table right away. She's not there. Ask her rep. When's she coming in? Hour or two, right? Keep coming back. Oh, finally, here you are, right? She didn't have any of her shit set up yet. She just got there. And so she's like, yeah, I'll sign these, but I don't have anything yet, right? And so I always come prepared, right? This is what's in my bag.
Nice.
And I've got the little variety, but I'll tell you, this is my Dirty Harry 44 Magnum right here. The Bic Intensity paint pen. This is the opposite of what you were talking about with the fine point, right? This is some shit that when I frame it on the wall, you can see that from across the room, and
like,
I love
that's like
it.
straight up graffiti, bro.
It is. It's fat, and it's so, like, shimmery, reflective in the light. Like, I have some of these. I don't know if you can see them behind me, but the Batman actors autographs. They're nice silver Sharpies and whatever, but, like, you gotta catch them from the right angle, right? And this shit you could see across the street. And so I hand it to Micah, and I asked her, to sign. First, it was a Catwoman print of her Catwoman 39, and it was that nice black giclée that she had. And she starts drawing, and she goes, Jesus fucking Christ. And she's like, this thing is insane. And she's like, oh my God. She goes, can I have this? And I said, no, it's day one. I can't give you my marker day one halfway through. And
hit her with the no.
And I was like, I can't do it. And she's like, no, for real. Like, what do you want? Anything on this table? I was like, no, I can't do it.
Yo,
And so,
for real, Jesus.
and I said, but I have the gold, and because it was a 2-pack, right? I was like, I have the gold, which I don't use as often. I said, so if you want it, I'll give you this one. And she's like, okay, what do you want? And she gave me a comic for it. It was her Poison Ivy #1.
Nice.
And so I thought that was fucking funny. But
I once gave my New York Comic Con. Was it 2019? I think yeah, 2019. Art German Joel Jones was doing a signing in the DC booth, and I think I was like third in line. And I handed her a gold one, and then she signed one of those amazing Art Germ covers in gold. And she was like, "Oh my god, I really like this marker." And I was like, "It's yours." And she's like, "No, I can't." I was like, "No, it's yours." I was like, "You're Joel Jones. Take it."
yeah,
And then at C2E2 last year, she was like, she's like, "I've seen you before, right?" I go, "Yeah." I'm like, "I gave you the gold marker in New York Comic Con." She's like, "Oh my god, I love that marker." And I was just like,
that's
yes.
awesome.
She still remembers.
See, I was the opposite of that. I was like, no, I got my trusty. Like, I bring this one to every show. I bring it to every concert. You know, I get all my shit signed with this kind.
With me, like I have doubles of everything just in
See,
case.
that's smart. Yeah.
So again, guys, double of everything. That's important too.
Because then you can befriend your favorite artist. You can make a nice impression there.
You never know how far
like I didn't.
Get a marker. She's gonna remember that. No, I'm gonna tease her about it on New York Comic Con. She didn't give me a choice.
Yeah.
She was just like, "I'm just taking this marker," and I was like, "All right,
sounds good." Yeah,
I'll take it.
Well, and the other thing I'll say is, a lot of times you, like, I like talking to artists, and you know, sometimes you get a little like, oh my god, it's this person, right? And other times people are just very candid, you know, disarming, you know, regular people in conversation. But when you're meeting those bigger artists, like I just waited in a long ass line to meet Jim Lee again this past weekend at Rose City. And, you know, you think about what you want to say because there's so many people, you'll only get a moment, really. And so I'm thinking about what I want to say. And, you know, I'm saying this to him while he's signing. And, you know, he had a handful of marker colors. So I didn't really think, you know, I don't need to tell him, right? But then as he was doing it, I was like, but I should have given him this, you know? Like I like getting books double signed, triple signed, you know, the artist, the writer, the colorist, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was one of those where I already had Bermeo sign it, and it was in a silver like that. And I was like, oh, cool. If I can have him match that, right? And he went the other way with it, which it's fine. It's still rad. But like, I got to remind myself to also sort of be like, if you do have a preference, well, what is that preference? And just say it, you know, and they're not going to mind unless you be like, yeah, can you do this diagonal in this 2-inch box? You know, like that, like that one you were talking about. Because I think people are there to, you know, meet their fans and make people happy. So,
yeah, you know, and you're paying for the event. You're probably paying for those signatures. Hey, listen, like if you have a preference, say something. If they're not going to get mad, you know, they're more than happy to make you happy because guess what? They wouldn't be around if it wasn't for the fans.
Yeah.
So definitely bring up what color you want to use. That's what I did with Jeff Loeb. I'm like, you got to do orange.
Yeah, dude, that's so good.
Yeah, I came back and I was like, wow, this came out better than I thought it did.
Dude, I saw he's on the list for San Francisco, and I'm like,
when's San Fran?
Last week of November, I think. It's right around Thanksgiving.
Fuck. Okay. Yeah, I said fuck on the mic. I'm like, I want to get more things signed by him.
You've been hanging out with me. Oh, fuck, shit, fuck this motherfucker. Sorry.
So now the next step of this process, right? Me personally, when it comes to comic books, I like to have my store folio. A lot of your local comic shops may have these. It's a nice, solid place where you can put your comics in. And you know what I tend to do, I'll have a schedule here. I tend to write who's the artist that I want to get stuff signed by in this box when I go. So it's like, oh, great, so and so, they're at this location, and I'm like, all right, great. Then pull out my books, they sign them, I throw them back in. Don't have to worry about them getting bent or anything. Here's one opened up with a couple of comics in there.
Speaking of things getting bent, I just always also stash a few extra, like half a dozen extra bags and boards in my bag.
Yes.
Just so if you're cruising the floor and you grab something that doesn't have it, that you're always covered, because you don't want that nice thing getting fucked up in your backpack.
Yeah, I keep a couple of them in here extra as well. It's hard finding bags and boards on the floor at most cons. I have a fresh pack of bags and boards. So I have 100 bags and boards behind me. But always keep those with you. Sometimes these vendors do run out of bag and boards. Sometimes their comic books are not bagged and boarded. Some, you want to make sure that you take care of your prized possessions, right? Because we all collect because they're going to be worth something one day. So take care of it.
I literally don't. Like, I don't get my shit graded. I don't care about certificate of authenticity. I'm like, this is just for me. Like, I don't care. But
do you have store folios or no?
No. What I have, and I think is probably going to be your next segue, is the Jim Lee hex bag.
The tank.
Yeah, which
that holds everything you need.
Is a fucking lifesaver, man. Like, I just had this pulled out, but like this is my side pouch of my hex bag. I come with my cargo shorts. I got like all these different compartments in my bag. Like I got everything for the day set. And before I walk in that metal detector, my keys, my wallet, all that other shit, I put in my bag because they're gonna look in the bag anyway. And so if I walk through and I don't have to do the airport thing and take it in and out on the fly, like just anything to make it more expedient.
Like, here, take it. So talking about the Hex brand bag, pretty convenient. We all have ours.
I got it because you guys ran that promo at San Diego, and I just jumped on it. I was so glad that I did. Like, really, they're not sponsoring my show. You can. I would love it if you did, but I'm just saying that as a person who bought it and used it. Like, it made my life so much easier.
It's pretty legit. It seems a little bulky, but the way the straps are really holds the bag up to up of your back. It doesn't slag down and push you down. It's like a really solid, cushiony area on your back and on the straps. It has enough space for some fluids. You want to have water bottles when you're at a con. You don't want to spend stripper money on water bottles. You want to there we go. Perfect space for that stuff.
I got not just the hydro flask, but the jumbo size one, and it fits perfectly. So
there's
like
two sides, so you can have two things full of water.
You can really load it up.
The next thing is, if you have slabs, a lot of people go to cons and like bring slabs to sell to vendors or do trades. Has a lot of space for that. Here's a photo where there's 6 slabs and a laptop. What I tend to do is I'll fit like 3 store folios, so roughly about 45 books in the middle, and then I keep where the laptop is in this photo. I'll keep all the empty bags and boards, or like anything else I want to throw in there.
Yeah, that's where I put. I had a couple of hardcovers. I put in that slot.
Nice.
And you can't really tell, but like these 2 tied off sections, there's actually a good sized middle section in there. So that's where I keep all of my blanks. Nice. So sometimes I'll have a blank that's specific for this person I'm hoping to get, right? So I'll kind of group that with those books that I'm going to have signed by that person. But I always just have like a reserve of blanks there in that middle section, and it's great.
Yeah. And there's so much you could do with it, with slabs, store folios, your blanks. You could individualize the comic books by the dividers. There's a lot.
Yeah, actually, I'll let me unzip my bag real quick because I just put some of the things back in there. But like you saw, kind of how those are sectioned off. I don't know how well this will translate, but they're actually like individual dividers, right? So if you look, you can thumb through. And so in my first section here, and mine aren't slabs. I just got bags and boards. But like, okay, so Joelle was my first stop, right? And so I've got my
Oh, she
Joelle
signed that in
books.
red.
So Laura Allred, the colorist,
Oh,
signed
nice.
these just this week in Portland. So
Nice.
now they're all double signed. But and then I put my blank in there that I was hoping to have her do, and she ended up doing this sort of like upgraded remark cover for me.
Nice.
And so like all that was set, and then next was like, okay, Micah is next on the list.
Nice.
Wound up seeing Teeny Howard there as well. So it's like, all right, I've got these set up. I brought a blank for her. She wasn't taking sketches, and so I took this to Andy Price, and he did this awesome Selena
That's
for
awesome.
me. And so it's like I've got everything set, but again, I've also got my kind of room for an audible, and like, okay, I knew that Micah and Teeny were gonna sign those. I had another one that Teeny would sign that wasn't a Micah cover, so she has
Yeah.
her own folder that once Micah signs the first one, then I move it
Next.
to the other folder, right?
Yeah.
And so I kind of just got this thing going, and it flows so well, man. Or it's like, I've got my Mirka and Dolphos, and I've got my extra blanks, right? And I don't bring them all, but I bring like, okay, I've got enough of a variety of a few different characters and a few different styles that if I run into somebody unexpected, then I got my shit covered.
You have options.
Exactly. What you don't want to do is what I just did. Now that I'm telling you all the good things I do, I just did on Rose City this weekend. I was like, all right, I spent all my money. I'm just gonna go see Jim Lee, and I'm gonna get these few things signed that'll all probably be free, right? I'm not gonna bring any blanks.
Always bring
So
bang.
So of course I meet Joe Benitez, and he is doing an absolute steal on these sketch remark covers. And so I see this, and I start walking the floor, doing laps, trying to find somebody selling blanks. And eventually, I did find one,
Nice.
and he did this Harley for me in like
Amazing.
5 minutes right in front of me, and it was amazing. So like I say that just to say like as much as you can bring, man, as much as you can organize, you will be grateful, because I've had such a better experience since I've been able to do it like this than when I would just come before with a big stack of shit in a loose bag.
And just like completely disorganized.
Because I'm fairly new to this. Like I think I started going maybe 2015ish around here, but I really started taking them seriously in the last few years. And this is, I think, my 9th convention, which you've gone to that many this year, I think. So
Yeah,
like,
just about.
I'm learning as I go, and for
A
the
few
most
more to
part,
go.
going by myself. And so I'm kind of
Yeah.
just figuring out what worked and what didn't work, and talking to guys like you who do it a lot more often. So, I mean, this is currently my most up to date routine, and
That's
it's serving
awesome.
me very well. I mean, I sent you that collage that of all
Yeah.
the.
Here we
This is
go.
just my Emerald City, right? And that's not even all of them, right? I got so many great sketches from so many great artists, and that was all predicated on like I had X amount for these specific artists. Well, guess what? 2 of them canceled. One of them wasn't doing sketches, and so cool. Let's see who else is out there, and I'm glad I brought those extra blanks, because
Yeah.
man, look at that.
It's amazing. Yeah. Always carry blanks. You never know.
Unless you're
And
not into that. I know Legends fucking hates blanks, but like I think it's cool as shit, honestly.
yeah, it's fun. And if you get a nice little sketch or a remark or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
it makes your collection like pop out a little bit because it's unique. But since we just gave this whole like Hex brand infomercial, if you do want to buy a Hex brand Hex brand bag, you're more than welcome to use the BatForce20 code on checkout, and you save 20%. Not just on the Hex, not just on the Jim Lee bag. They have photography bags, portfolio bags, a lot of other things. So make sure to check that out. Saving money, why not? You know, you just
Dude, yeah, I was telling it to, like, I'll be in line, you'll be in line for an hour and you'll get to know the people around you. Oh, what are you getting signed? Whatever.
yeah.
And you'd pull something out and show them, and they'd be like, "What is that bag?" I'm like, "Oh, check it out, dude!" And like, show them the whole organization, just like I did just now, man. Like, I'd be showing people in line every day at cons, like, "Oh, you got to get one of these, man."
Yeah, and then if you go to a con and short boxes there, they tend to give some out from time to time. Um, there are a lot of people who give them out. Look out for that because that's awesome. It saves you, 100 and some change. But if you want to be prepped for a con, go to the website hexbrand.com and at checkout use BatForce20. Saves you 20%. Least we could do. We don't get no kickbacks from that. It's legit something we're doing to like save money to anyone that wants to get it back. So if you don't want to use it, you don't have to use it. If you want to use it, save yourself 20%. Again, there's no kickback. It's just something we did where they wanted at the end. They wanted to give us 10%. We're like, no, 20. It just makes more. It just makes it fair.
Yeah. I felt like such an idiot too. Speaking of the limited time you have, with these celebrity artists, like as soon as I walked out of the Jim Lee thing, the door closed behind me. I was like, because you give your stuff to the handlers and then they slide it down the table, and then the handlers take it to another table for you to put the shit back in your bag, right? So I'm wearing the bag in the photo, and at no point do I think to mention it because I'm not even using it. I'm like, oh man, I wanted to thank him. Like, dude, this thing rules. And totally slipped my mind until 30 seconds later.
Yeah, it's tough when again, like when it comes to like an A-list artist or creator, like the treatment, it's a lot different than anyone just sitting in RS Alley. It's like you have the handlers and it's like, oh, all right, that's my book over there. What's my book doing over there? Or he's over there, crap, he's signing it. All right, now it's going over there. And I'm like, oh, hi. And I was like, oh shit.
Oh,
that's
it's
all
over.
I got out. It's over. It's over. Like, damn it. But in time, after more cons and stuff, you kind of like get used to like stop being that nervous.
And that's why I didn't have any issue with going to see him a second time. It's like seeing him twice in 1 year. Well, shit, he's coming to my state this time. I want to support that and have it be a success, so they'll keep doing cool shit like this for one.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it was just like, yeah, I mean, if you get 1.5 minutes or something, then yeah, why wouldn't I want another 1.5 minutes?
Yeah, it's all worth it. And I'm like I've met him quickly because I was actually like witnessing something for someone, and then the second time, same con, I was gonna try to take a picture with him, but he was ready to leave, and I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
So I haven't officially met him yet. I'm hoping New York Comic Con that changes.
Man, I was a little bit freaked because when I saw how they did one of those things where it's like, okay, we get out of the panel and you have to get in this long ass line again. Like, we already have our badges for our extra badges for this signing, right? But you have to get in this other long ass line where they give you the ticket to go with the badge, right? And then you have to get in another long ass line to get into the room. And so I'm like, okay, this is insane. It was already like pandemonium because there's a bunch of people who skipped the panel just to get in line. And I'm like, oh my God, are we even gonna make it until like he cuts off the first signing cuts off at 1:00, it was noon. And this lady starts coming around like, all right, he's gonna be going to lunch soon, about 20 minutes. And we made it in, like, me and the people I was standing next to anyway, like 3 people behind me was the cutoff. I was like, oh, thank God.
So
Would I had to stand here while this dude goes out and finds a fucking sandwich and eats the whole thing and comes back.
Like, someone bring him a sandwich. Fuck.
Yeah,
keep
for
on
real.
signing, dude.
Yeah.
That gets nerve-wracking. And that's the other thing with these lines at cons.
So yeah, like, this guy's trying to get out and go get his fucking food, and there's a million other people behind you trying to get in. So it's like, I'm also just trying to respect the process and not eat up a bunch of time too,
And it's tough because then sometimes the rules are just made on the fly, or like you don't know what the rules are until you show up, and then it's like, oh, we're going to go over here, and then we're going to flip over here to this side of the room, and then with a cartwheel over there, back over there, and then you get your stuff signed, and it's like, all right, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, when I met this man, I went to San Antonio, Alamo City Comic Con to meet Michael Keaton, and it was the most like there's a dozen people ushering you through. You walk up, stand beside him. He's not even facing you when you walk in. Like you just walk up beside him, and the camera's pointed at you. And it was like all I got out was "Thank you, Mr. Keaton," and like walked away. Like, damn, that was fast. And the signing wasn't much different.
I wanted to go to that so bad, and I was in Austin the day after.
Oh man,
for work, and I couldn't go that weekend because my lady at the time had planned, and I was like, no, I have to go to Austin. Like this is my only chance, of like meeting Keaton. And then I stayed at the hotel across the street. I landed Monday. I go straight to the hotel to check in, and then I was like, I walked outside, and I'm looking at the building, and I'm like, wait a minute. That Keaton was there yesterday. I'm like, was that it? And I'm looking at my phone. I looked at the address. Then I go on the site, and I was like, motherfucker, yo. I was a day earlier in my life.
Oh, right, because he was supposed to be Saturday, and he moved it to Sunday or something. Yeah, I remember that now.
I was like a day earlier, and I
Bayside Batman. I met him at that show.
Oh, nice.
Because he was like, he had his flights arranged for the one day, and then they changed the day, and he had to fucking miss the event. It was a whole fucking thing. But,
that's right. He got a picture of Keaton in full suit.
No, that was Heavy Metal Batman. No, Bayside. Okay. Bayside, he missed the whole shit and like caught him like in the lobby or some weird thing, like on his way out. He like begrudgingly gave him one because he missed the whole thing. But
that sucks.
Yeah, but anyway, just those celebrity ones are tough because it's just very like, okay, you saw them speak and do the Q&A thing at the panel, right? Yeah. Now they're going as fast as possible to take all of these pictures, or to do all of these signatures. And it's like, you got that 3-hour window or whatever it is to get through every fucking person there. So like, I get it, but it's it's a race, man.
Speaking of celebrities, we barely touched on the photo ops, and what I've learned with the photo ops are, if you see a celebrity that you want to take a picture with or get something signed, go on the site and just see what it takes to get that done. A lot of celebrities, you have to buy the ticket beforehand, before you get there, and they give you this QR code that you have to show when you show up to them, or you print out the code and you bring it up to the table when you're standing in that long ass line. Some of the celebrities, actually, you could buy the photo op or the signature while you get to their table. But always map that out.
But be careful because they do sell out.
Yeah. That's why you have to look at the stuff, because if there's any pre-orders, you might want to be safe and take that and pick a time slot or whatever the case may be, depending on celebrity and which con, because you don't want that to happen. You don't want it to sell out. Sometimes for their, I guess, the less popular celebrities, they have openings, and you're more than free to just stand in line and boom, take a picture with Melissa Joan Hart. That's what I was trying to get a picture with, but I was busy. I'm like, damn it. And so it all varies, but make sure you do the research first. Don't expect that the day of you could just show up and get things done. If you can do anything beforehand, as we said, the earlier the better. Stay looking at the list. Prep your window bags if you want to do window bags. And I didn't even specify why I do window bags. I do window bags because there's been numerous times where I'm standing in a line ready to get something signed, and the person in front of me is just whipping out books, and they're standing in front of the artist, and it's like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the guy who's whipping out 15 books out of bags and boards, and the artist is just sitting there like staring at you. I want to be prepared. I want to be like, all right, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I love this book. I can say some things, so that's it. Signature's done. I get a couple seconds to say something to the artist, and then I move on. Yeah. I've been stuck behind people where they're bringing out 40 books, and 40 books just plastic, and then they move their stuff over, and they're trying to put everything in. And I don't know. It's come to the point. And again, like I think I started in 2015 as well. My comeback to the comics, and excuse me. Since then, it was just like, all right, cool. I want to be as prepared as possible because guess what? If that guy wasn't doing that, I could have got my stuff signed sooner, and I could have boomed over to my next line,
Yeah.
and been 4-7 people ahead, and be on schedule. So be considerate of others, be mindful.
And I again don't do the window bags unless I'm doing a mail-in signing. But when I'm in those lines, if I'm first in line waiting for the person to arrive, if it's 10 minutes till, I'm taking all of my books out.
Just be ready.
I'm putting the bags, back in my backpack,
Yeah,
and I just got the stack ready to go.
yeah,
And
which is the way to do, because
yeah.
like what happened to the Jim Lee line, right? 3 people behind you
Mhm.
got cut off.
Exactly.
If someone's taking up the time of doing the window bag, not just pulling things out of the bag in front of Jim Lee, it's like, another 5-7 people probably would have got signatures. And it's hard to think about it like that sometimes, but it's, you never know. Like, you never know what a signature means to someone. I don't know.
Well, and also you just don't want to
Be that
be
guy.
like we talked about. Sometimes there's nerves or whatever, and like you want to have a good casual conversation with people, and so that's next to impossible if you're wrestling a whole stack of shit in and out. So like I'll take them out, and
And just be ready.
and I'm prepared, right? And then when I'm done, I do have to put them back in the bags, but you take it and you step past
Move
the
over.
table where there's nobody over there, and you get your things together, but you're not like trying to hold up the line or anything. So yeah, it's just being respectful for
being respectful of the artist and
yourself
and everyone behind you.
Yep.
It's being a little mindful.
What did we miss? I feel like is there anything
I know
we didn't...
I got it.
You got it.
Gear. Your
Yeah.
gear.
Yeah.
Gears. It's funny because I was Javon Jordan and I were staying in a room and we were chatting, and he was like, "Yo, should I wear this shirt? I think I'm saving it for New York Comic Con." And I was like, "Nah, you're saving that shirt for New York Comic Con." And that's what happens. We save certain things for some cons, and like, all right, I'm gonna go see Frank Miller. I'm gonna wear this Frank Miller shirt, to show him how big of a fan I am. Like, because we're nerds. That's what the fuck we like.
Yeah.
And personally, I say wear a shirt that is comfortable, right? Because if you're walking around, you don't want pit sweat.
Yeah,
It's fucking annoying.
I don't want that great shirt design that's too tight and gonna be uncomfortable all fucking day.
Yeah, you want to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And then you want to have comfortable sneakers, man, because being on your feet all day. I did the mistake of wearing Converses. I have these,
God.
Yeah, I don't know how people balled in them, but I had I have these Neil Adams Joker cover Converses that came out about like 3-4 years ago.
Nice.
And I'm like, now I'm wearing these, and I'm like, yeah, I look cool, but my feet hurt, and I'm like, this sucks. And I wore it the last day of MegaCon, and I was like, why the fuck would I do this?
Never again.
Never again. So now, like, I have like these LeBrons, like they're basketball sneakers. So I'm like, I'm really comfortable with basketball sneakers, and I have running sneakers with great soles, and like just fucking kiss the bottom of my feet. And it's so important because you're standing on these lines, and if these cons don't have rugs, I remember like apparently everyone told me C2E2 used to have rugs. There's no rugs.
And it's just fucking linoleum or concrete or something.
Yeah, just pounding on that concrete all fucking day. I found the rug and I like put my feet on there, and I was like, oh my God, no one understands how good this feels right now. And you want to be comfortable. You want to wear your cargo shorts. You go like pocket stuff. I have a fanny pack. I have a Batman fanny pack that I wear.
Yes, you do.
Where I keep the cash there. Yeah, I said it. My cash in the fanny pack, but there's...
Don't tell people that.
But I move it around all the time. For the most part, I have my cash there. Good luck, guys. If not, I'm carrying beers or water.
I keister the cash. You'll never get it.
I tuck it. Good luck. The other thing you might see is with water bottles on my utility fanny pack. or pens. I keep my pens there because I'm like, oh, great, artist. Oh,
Yeah,
here's a
man.
pen.
Like, let me tell you, my cargo shorts are always. I always have my pens, my markers. I've got my stickers for the pod. I've got my like extra mask or something if I need it.
Yes, always wear the mask.
I've got my wipes and my sanitizer. I
Gotta
mentioned
be safe.
OCD, right? I got everything, man. And so like that plus the backpack, I got I don't even know if I pulled this out. You got to have your snacks
Gotta
in
bring the
there,
snacks. I just thought
man.
about the snacks.
That's probably the one thing I was thinking. Like, what's the essential that I always bring?
Yeah,
I always have 2 granola bars for the day next to my water in there, so that I'm not taking extra meal breaks first half of the day.
yeah,
That I can pound the pavement and hit everybody I want to see, and then take my lunch when I can barely stand again.
yeah.
Um,
I tend to find hotels that have like free breakfast. So
mm.
like I crush the breakfast in the morning. Like I'm talking
Oh
about stack of eggs, bacon, sausage, toast. And I'm like, damn, I'm full. Then that walk over to the con makes me feel a little lighter, and I'm like, all right, I'm good. And then I don't eat till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Like I
yeah,
go like 8, 9 hours. Just breakfast is the most important most important meal of the day for me during
yeah,
cons because that sets the tone. And then I'll bring the snacks for me. And I'm a fan of peanut butter and jelly. If I
yeah.
if I go to like a Whole Foods, I'm getting some bread and peanut butter and jelly. I'm making peanut butter and jelly as like fucking a little kid.
Dude, let's talk about this. This is essential. Okay. Let's say you're going to a 3 or 4 day con, right? And you're far away from home. Okay. So you get there the night before, you go to the grocery store,
Trader
right?
Joe's,
Yeah.
Walmart, whatever.
For me, what I do is I'll get my almond milk
Yep.
and my box of cereal. And if it's an Airbnb, they got the silverware, right? If it's not,
Oh, you're
I'll
good.
get a couple of those paper bowls
Yeah.
and a plastic spoon, right? Then every morning, I've got my free meal. I just I'll have 2 bowls of cereal before I get started, and it didn't cost me $10-15 to go
No.
pick up something on the way. I'm not eating some big greasy thing before like
Yeah.
the
Make you feel horrible later.
yeah, all the good shit. If you go out for breakfast, it's probably
Yeah.
gonna maybe not be
Yeah.
great for a long active day.
Yeah, I tend to. Yeah, I try to find hotels that have breakfast. If not, when I'm in Risley, one of the most prepared people in the face of this planet when it comes to cons. Um, we go to like Trader Joe's and get like a kombucha for the morning or whatever, and then just
Yeah,
like wake up in the morning and like, all right, peanut butter and jelly. Wait, there's free breakfast. Go downstairs. And I think Baltimore, we went to this hotel, and it was just continental. And I was like, all right, cool. Let me grab 4 bananas. You need potassium, and and like, oh, look at this muffin, and like a fucking bagel, and that's
yeah.
it. And I'm like, all right, that's my breakfast, and here's some peanut butter and jellies that I throw in the bag for when we snack later,
But
because you
yeah, man,
just
load up on that shit because you don't want to be spending, you know, $20 on fucking convention center food that's gonna
it's the
run right through you
worst.
and make you
Yeah,
feel like shit when you could have spent that on that one last cool thing that you saw on
yeah.
Sunday, but you're out of money because you
But
overspent.
the other biggest thing, and of course, we live in this COVID world now.
Yeah,
Um, and before COVID and after COVID's over, you want to bring your mask,
the
but
bat mask.
also bring like vitamin C pills. Bring your vitamins. You want to keep your immune system up because you're going to be around hundreds of people,
Yeah,
and sometimes like there's no social distancing and all this stuff. You don't want to, especially going on a plane or going on a bus or on a train, whatever. Circulation of air, same air. Um, Groups of people have been getting sick after
which
cons.
thankfully they filter it a lot better than they used to for
Yeah,
air travel. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, you're just gonna be around a shitload of people, and even if you're not concerned about it, uh, for whatever reason, think about it in practical terms. Because if you come down with something, right, and you're at this event that you've been thinking about for months and you've invested this money, and then well, if all of a sudden you do get sick and well now you're positive or whatever, um, you what do? You gotta cancel the rest of your trip. You
yeah.
want to get your favorite creators sick. Like what? I mean, it just it makes
Yeah, just
sense,
be
man.
prepared.
Just watch out for it, and
Yeah.
and make sure that you're not ruining your own fucking trip.
Yeah, and definitely, I want to give a shout out to the team over at Capture Collectibles. They're the ones who are like, "Hey, you took your vitamin C pills," and I was like, "What? Vitamin C?" And I was like, "I think it was my third con of the year," and I was like, "No, I haven't. I don't have vitamin C pills. Like, you have to bring your vitamin C pills."
Got my
Specifically,
zinc.
Monica, thank you.
Got my
And
zinc, my echinacea,
yeah, just
my,
make
my
sure you want to make sure
emergency.
you don't want to walk out of this sick, And knock on wood, I've been really lucky. I haven't after all these cons. I don't know what the hell. Someone has to test my blood. I haven't had a cold, a fever, or COVID after any of these cons. I'm gonna get it after New York now.
You seen that movie Unbreakable?
Yeah. So yeah, like guys, I think with everything we talked about today, it can be really helpful. If you watch the show or listen to all this, if you want to add on to anything, please leave a comment on anything we probably left out. Um, we'll have a part two. Why not? We'll get more of a panel on here to share other tips. I think we covered a good portion, especially for anyone just getting started. This is like a head start for anyone trying to start, because normally you walk around. Normally you go to your first con or your second con, and you're just like, well, okay, oh, maybe I'll do this, maybe I do that, and it's
Yeah,
like maybe nothing happens.
yeah, dude. I just gotta say, because we were talking about Artist Alley a few times, and we never really mentioned that, like, most places, I went to Rose City, it was just a one floor show.
Yeah,
But for the most part, you go to these larger ones, Artist Alley is off in the middle of fucking nowhere,
football
and you're
field.
not at the show.
Yeah,
The main floor is its own
its own animal.
ecosystem,
Yeah,
And so, like, I would I think at Emerald, because that was a 4-day con, I went for 6-7 hours the first day in Artist Alley, and it occurred to me I haven't even seen the main floor yet. I'm gonna go down to the fourth floor and see how far I can get before they close. And you'll find sometimes they do hide other artists out there, like you were
yeah,
saying. Maybe they come with a comic shop or a retailer or something like that.
yeah,
And so, you don't. That's another thing. I budget certain things, but as I'm walking and I'm just seeing cool shit, I
there's
never
there's no
buy it.
budget.
I never buy it when I first see it, unless it's like some original piece and there's only one, and oh my god, I gotta have
Yeah,
it. But if it's wow, that's pretty cool, I walk the whole floor
yep,
and then come back, because how many times have you spent your money too soon and then you find the thing you really didn't expect to see,
yeah,
and you don't have the money? So, like,
yeah. So
that
scope the floor out.
that's my move. Like, walking the whole shit before I drop that coin on whatever your extra budget is. You got your main priorities, but, like, whatever the extra floor walking money is, make sure you see everything first.
Yeah. And then I think before we head out, the final thing, and this happens all the time, guys, you want to make sure you have enough cash on you. Those ATM lines get ridiculous. I was fortunate enough to help a couple of people on MegaCon because the ATM stopped functioning at one point. The ATM line was like an arrow wait. It was like a signature. It was like a signing line, and people didn't have cash. And I was like, all right, here's my cash app. Send me the money. I'll give you the cash. And so I'm very frugal, and I come in with a budget, and I my budget ends up being my cash plus my credit card. So there's no budget because no, it's hard to have a budget. But I tend to keep more cash on me just to help people out because I know how hard it is, and the ATM fees are not cheap. Just make sure you're properly prepared. Oh, I have a budget of $200. Don't only have $200. Have $300 on you, just in case, because something else is going to pop up. So
And
round
with
up your
that,
budget.
like, what my cash is my backup,
Yeah.
right? Because most people are going to accept cards nowadays, right? But there's always going to be that odd table that doesn't have it, or it's not working.
Yeah.
how many times you been to a con
The
that had
Wi-Fi is not
actual
functioning,
good reception? That never
Yeah.
happens, right? And so
especially on a Saturday.
yeah, so dude, that's my plan B is like
Yeah.
have a little bit of backup and you know pay for card as well, with card as much as you can,
Yeah.
so that when you get to that spot where you can't, you're not already spent and got to go in that ATM line.
Exactly. You stay away from the ATM line. But guys, I think this is I think we give you a lot of good tips for your first, second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever con it is. Again, if anything we miss, drop a comment, DM me and be like, yo, you idiot, you missed this. I'll take it. But
Don't
thanks
DM
for
me that shit. I'm fucking figuring it out. Okay, I'll get there in time.
I'll take it. Sammy, thanks for joining, man. It's great chatting it up.
Yeah, man. Good to see you again.
And chatting about our con experiences. I'll make sure I'll get Liz on so you guys kind of be even on the show appearances.
And then one day the crossover. There's got to be some day where there's a reason to cross over.
There's going to be an end of the year, and I'm going to have
Nice.
just like everyone on. But guys, I hope this was helpful. Be safe out there. Enjoy your cons, and look forward to some future posts at some Comic Cons. Yeah, and go follow the Bat Fanatic. Please do, guys. Have a good one. Thank you very much. Peace.